Hey, welcome to episode 3 of the Skooliepalooza podcast. Today we have one half of Arbour season, the other half doing the important work. Introduce yourself, man.
My name is Shane Anderson, and I'm, like you said, the ugly half of Arbour season. Well, that's what you meant to say. I know you meant to say
I didn't say ugly.
that.
You're a beautiful man.
Thanks. Yep. So that's me.
Let's just jump right into it. First, you were 15 minutes late because of a classic nomad excuse. What was that excuse?
I was working on a bus project inside the nanny bus. Out of our 2 buses we have a nanny bus, and I was trying to build this really cool place where our nannies could sit and do their work. Because right now, I don't know if you can see if this is just audio, but we have this.
No, yeah,
long...
we see it.
Oh, great. So there's a long desk here that was just a countertop, but I wanted to turn this area into a place where you could store things, but also where you could put your legs in there, and so you can sit right here and do emails or drawing or whatever our nannies do. We sound bougie when I say nannies, but I can go into that more later. And then I was also putting the license plates on this bus because we finally got it registered.
Nanny bus. There's a couple of different ways to take that. We're going to take it in the most wholesome way, which is you have children, and because you're musicians, you need help sometimes.
Yes. Okay. So we do usually about 5 shows a week on average, and since we're mainly on the road traveling full time, we don't want to leave our kids with random people we don't know. So we take someone that we do know on the road with us, and they watch our kids. So for the past 5 years, this is what we've been doing, and this is how we've been having. This is how we're able to travel full time, play music while having kids, and it not being an issue. So mainly because our shows are only an hour, usually at a time, we decided, well, let's take a nanny on the road, because someone mentioned us a long time ago. You guys, you know what you need? You need a nanny. And we're like, what is that? And so we had for the past 4 years nannies living in our bus with us. So we had bunks in there and everything, and one of the bunks was designated for them. But then we kind of found that even though we loved them and they were great, they're always awesome, we felt like our home wasn't our home all the time. And so we bought another bus, converted it, and now it is the nanny bus, which is where I'm sitting now. So I'm undistracted being able to do this podcast. But so there you have it. Yep.
So let's talk about the nanny bus for a minute. How long is it? What drivetrain? Please tell me it's not an AT545.
So one of the biggest questions as a musician that I get is like, hey, what kind of gear do you have? Oh, I play the DLS 540. I'm like, I'm the kind of musician that plays but doesn't know. Like, I'm more like theory minded. I'm not technical. So like I know that I like Yamaha keyboards and Korgs, but I don't know. Sometimes I forget what kind of Korg I have all the time, and I play it every day. So all that to say is I can give you a little bit of information. It's a 20-foot school bus. It's a short bus for the nanny.
Okay.
And it's a little bit more primitive than our big bus. So our big bus has, like water pumps and things like that. Where this nanny bus, the sink is like a push thingy. So it's a gravity push. You push like a pedal, and
right
through suction it comes. Anyway, no electricity whatsoever involved in that process. But it's a Thomas bus, and it's a 98, and it's diesel. And
is it a Ford or is it a Chevy?
It is a
Ford.
GMC. It's a GMC. Yes.
Okay. Careful. That's Warren words right there. You're not knowing whether it's a Ford or a Chevy.
Someone out there is going to be like, you know what's funny? Our 91 Bluebird, the big bus, I can tell you everything. It's an Allison transmission, 5.9 Cummins, 91 Bluebird. So yeah, I know everything about that bus. I've had to work on it so many times. But this bus, every time something needs to be done, I just take it to a shop and let them do their thing.
So basically, your nanny has a drive-along Toad.
Correct. So our nannies drive this bus, and then I drive the big bus, and then my wife and our 2 kids drive in the car. We have a little Mazda 2, And so we drive with 3 vehicles everywhere we go. And usually we're in a different state every single week.
Man, that's quite the schedule. I tell you, my kids are grown now. Mine are 28, 20, and 18. And you're giving your kids their best life, right?
I think so.
Not being tied down to, the indoctrination, the square box and the sit still, letting them get dirty, listen to music, meet all kinds of interesting, creative people. I mean, that's fantastic. And my hat's off to you for that, man.
Thanks. We honestly enjoy it, and I feel like if you are a little bit more, if you're more flexible with your kids, then they grow up to be flexible
Yes.
humans. And so from us, like, now that, well, you can listen to what I just said, and then a lot of people would be like, wow, so you're saying that your kids are always in a car seat? No. So we have a system that we do this in, and I say we're in a different state every week, and I guess it used to be like that, but lately we try to book as many shows in one area before moving on to the next. So for an example, if we play a bunch of house concerts and venues in Boise, Idaho, we have a really good network of people there. So we could be in Boise for 1 to 2 months before we move on to the next place. Um, like right now, we're playing at a theme park, America's #1 theme park, actually, which is called Silver Dollar City. And we've been here for 3 months. And then just in 2 weeks, we're heading to Skooliepalooza, like starting to head that way. So all that to say is it's not like we're always go, go, go. And when we do drive, there's no more than 3 hours. And that's usually when the kids take a nap. We drive around nap time, so there's sleep for most of it. And yeah, so we're not consistently always on the road. Our kids are not strapped to car seats and things like that.
If you don't mind, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's totally cool. I get it. How old are your kids?
Oh, I don't mind. 2.5 and 5.5.
2.5 and 5.5. The 5.5 is probably having a blast. The 2.5 probably thinks you're nuts.
It's funny. The 2.5 is nuts. So she's just like, she's along for the ride. She's our crazy child. She's awesome. She's so spunky. Where my son is just like, he's there's some, I don't know. Everything he touches, he's super good at. Like he can sing harmonies. He just plays the piano randomly and will play the harmony notes with it and sing like crazy stuff. And he's just very like he just thinks about everything, and he uh everywhere we go, but he thinks that our family's name is Arbour Season. He doesn't understand quite yet that it's our band. So he goes around and tells everybody, we're Arbour Season and we live in a big blue bus. Um,
He's your he's
but
your biggest fan and your best promoter right there.
totally. Yeah, you should see him walk around with a tip bucket. That's where we make the most money.
Well, I know. I mean, who can turn down a cute kid, right? I mean,
Only Satan could do that. Yeah.
only Satan could do that. Hey, let's when we started in on this, there's like I said, there's 4 to 6 talking points, and we can talk about anything you want, but we do try to cover these 4 to 6 just as a template, concrete kind of thing. So let's start with, why nomad life? What got you here? I mean, obviously the obvious condition is that musicians have to travel, but why specifically schoolies, this type of thing?
Yeah, so it started with us playing in Tampa all the time in Florida. And then we used to play at Disney twice a week for about 4 years in Orlando. And so we're playing all the beach bars and restaurants. And then we were playing at this one venue, and this guy shows up in an RV. And I never even thought, I mean, I never been in an RV at this point. And so uh, he's like, oh, yeah, well, he travels the country fixing stoves and restaurants and things like that. So I'm like, so you live in this thing? He's like, yeah. And he's like the surfer looking dude. And I thought he was super cool. And so he showed me a tour of his RV. And then when he lifted up his bed and showed me that that's where all of his clothes were, I don't know what it was, but that was it for me. I'm like, this is my future. So fast forward a little bit, we got picked up by the college market, and so we started playing universities and colleges all over the country. And so we did about 100 or so in a year and a half, which is a lot. That's a lot of colleges. And so we found that we loved traveling, we loved being on the road, we hated being in Florida. It was way too hot. And so we thought, how could we do this? And then I started Googling RV life and how to do all that. And then there's this couple called Gone with the Winds. Jason and Nikki, and I just watched all their videos. Their RV had solar, and that was it. So there's a long, I mean, there's so many long stories. We were playing at this one martini bar, and this guy sits at this bar, and he looks like John Lennon. And I sit by him, and I'm like, and we're just talking. He's like, "So what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want to live in an RV and travel full time." And he said, "Well, what's stopping you?" And I said, "Well, I need a co-signer to get a loan because I'm Canadian and haven't been in the States long enough to build credit." Which, by the way, we believe in being debt free and not taking out loans and stuff like that. So,
Right there with
uh,
you.
yeah. Anyway, so we did. We know we shouldn't have done what we did, but it really worked out really well. Luckily, thank God. So this guy said, "Well, I'll co-sign for you," and I'm like, "Oh, what?" I literally just met this guy. So I kept saying, "No, you won't. You're kidding. Whatever." And he kept bringing it up. And I said, "Well, if you're serious, I'm going to an RV show in Tampa tomorrow." He shows up. We find an RV. He co-signs for it. Done. That was the RV that we lived in for 4 years. We became really close with this guy, obviously. And our first album as Arbour Season, actually, there's 4 songs. They're all about his life and his story. And we paid it off eventually. And it was really great. He never had to he never got in trouble. We always made our payments. We paid it off early, became debt free a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago. And then, anyway, so living in this RV for so long, for 4 years, and traveling full time for 4 years. And then 2020 hit. All of our Canada shows got canceled. I watched Expedition Happiness. I don't know how I came across that movie,
I've
but
seen it.
I did. It was so good, and I think I mean, it's so long ago. I think that's what made me think about getting into schoolie life, and so I started researching it and following people. I'm like, wow, this is really cool that you could build your own thing and go off and have solar and all this stuff. So then 2020 hit, and I'm like, all of our shows are canceled. We have 3 months before our next shows are starting to be booked. So what do we do for 3 months? We bought a school bus and converted the heck out of it. Within 3 months, we moved in and then hit the road. And the rest is kind of history.
That's actually fantastic, man. I mean, first, I would like to affirm your Canadianness. I caught it the moment you said process instead of process.
Yep.
It's like, oh, he's Canadian. Our homestead is up in Northwest Washington. We only nomad about 7 months a year.
Oh.
Yeah, so we hit Canada often. Your story is fantastic. This guy, I mean, that randomly offers to co-sign for you. That falls right into rule number 3, right? Is pay it forward.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I hope that you have that opportunity. Maybe not that specific opportunity, but an opportunity to change someone's life like that at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So point number 2, question number 2. What is the biggest challenge that you're running into? I would assume it's your kids, but who knows? And how do you handle them as a nomad?
Honestly, being married, I kind of don't like it, and it's. Emily just walked in. Oh, that's funny.
You're gonna get
Anyway,
it.
no, okay. You know what's so funny? There's such a strong community in the nomad
Mm-hmm.
world, and it's amazing. It's awesome. But because we're Christians and we love being a part of a home church, we love being able to pour into a community and give back. And I love the dinners and the hangouts and poker night. Everybody comes over for poker or whatever. And we don't have that. That's not part of our lifestyle. And that's the hardest part. That's it. Like the breakdowns, which really that's probably number 2. Because we spent $20,000 worth of bus repairs in the past 6 months. So when we had an emergency fund, we were feeling great, and then it's all gone. But now we're building up again. But all that to say is the community is the part that I miss the most. But
Well, so there's I mean, obviously, nomads are a great cross section of everyone, but there's a lot of Christians and a lot of Christians' families in this lifestyle. I would think that there's some level or capability of creating a mobile foundation amongst that community?
Yeah, it would always have to be like virtual because like so for an example, like Skooliepalooza is really great because it's a week long or a week and a half or whatever it is where people get to hang out in one spot, and there's a lot of events like that, but the problem is those events don't pay
Right.
musicians. Tiny house festivals don't pay, and when they do pay, it's not enough. It doesn't even cover the fraction of what it would be like to actually even just to get there, let alone all the gigs that you're saying no to and all that kind of stuff. So saying that, uh, yeah, it would have to be virtual because we have a lot of friends though that travel with other people consistently, and for them that's an amazing community. However, for us, that doesn't exist because we have to drive to the next place to make money, to play shows. So, yeah, hope that answers that.
Yeah, it does. And actually, that's one of the reasons why we created the Creative Community Partnership, because we have such a broad network. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with it, but we're hoping through promotion and other ideas that we may have that we can help, for example, generate income for creatives. Because, like you said, you're right. Skooliepalooza doesn't pay its acts. It's all about pay it forward. But paying it forward is cyclical, right? So you're paying it forward by bringing your talents, your gifts, your passion to Skooliepalooza to enjoy. But hopefully, Skooliepalooza they can turn that back around and generate something that is
Right.
positive for you.
Yeah.
Um, as a nomad, now again, how long have you been doing this? 5 years, 4 years,
7 years.
7 years? Okay, that's a long time. And
Yeah.
you're still young yet. You've still got that I'm not quite 40 face going on. Maybe 34, maybe.
Close, 35. Yeah.
Okay. The what are the in 7 years? So not only have you been on the road for 7 years, you now have two little ones who you are hoping to raise to be better and greater than you.
Yep.
What are the most fulfilling moments of all of that, whether it be kids or music or whatever it is? What is it that really sets your heart afire on this trip?
I love that my kids are super adaptable. They're super friendly and really great at making friends because that's what they do. I mean, when we're traveling, we go to parks all the time, and our kids are always running up to other kids and be like, "Hey, can you be my friend?" Things like that. I love that. They experience so many different climates, so they know, okay, this part of the country doesn't have snow, this one does, or this culture over here it acts a certain way, a little bit different than over here. So like the Midwest is super different from the Northwest,
Oh yeah,
and like the mindsets and stuff like that. Like our kids are learning these things, especially by hanging out with other kids in those areas. And I think a lot of nomads are usually kind of in the middle. I mean, what I've witnessed and felt like anyway is a lot of our nomad friends usually are in off-grid locations most of the time where we're always driving in cities, we're always in towns, we're always at different people's houses, venues, churches, retreats, theme parks. So we're always, does that make sense? So like
yeah,
they're getting a lot of variety in what America and Canada has to offer. And so geography, they're just getting really good at geography. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And when things break down and things go wrong and when things are uncomfortable, we're able to teach our kids this is part of life. Like this is okay. This is not a bad thing, you know. And then teaching our kids that when you need something done, you can do it. Like I have no experience. And if you look at our bus, I mean it ain't perfect by any means. Um I don't know. I still don't know what I'm doing, but we're figuring it out and it's teaching our kids like we could build things, we could do stuff. And um, oh, I think the biggest benefit though is mom and dad are always around. We're always here. I mean, our shows are only an hour usually, and so in this theme park that we're playing at, they let us bring our kids with us every day. So it's just so cool. It's such a unique situation that I know a lot of people don't get to have. A lot of people go to work and then they come home and their kids are about to go to bed, and then you know what I'm saying. So
yeah.
I'm glad that we get to really be a huge part of their growing up life. I will not say, man, I wish I spent more time with our kids, because that would be impossible. I mean, yeah, we're not missing anything.
Well, I tell you, it's funny you bring that up because I come from an employment standpoint. I come from a more traditional background, and like I mentioned, we're only nomads for 7 months a year. Well, when my first wife and I split up, I ended up with custody, and we were homeschooling, and that is something that I will never regret
Yeah,
because my oldest was already up and out of the house, but my two daughters, I was able to teach them self-reliance, and not just from this is how you make a fire, but how to learn, how to educate yourself, how to be kind, how to stand up for yourself, how to do the right thing. And I think that's lost on a lot of the traditional schooling methods that are out there. It's more focused on how to get along, how to be part of society. And those are important things,
yeah,
but they're no way more important than having someone who can stand up and be the person that they are
right.
versus the person that someone else wants them to be.
And I feel like a lot of schools, with a lot of teachers that I'm talking to, it's turned into almost like a babysitting program at this
Mm-hmm.
point, because um, yeah, and the fact that you can't, like, kids are not learning. I feel like the word no and what that means, and I don't know. I'm just speculating, because we don't. I mean, we homeschool our kid, but I
Right.
was super public school, and I know that when I was in public school, it's very different than it is today. Sorry, my wife has just walked in, and she looks like
She's welcome to join us.
I could talk to you about that.
No, she has a problem with what I built over here already.
The unusable space that you've now created in the nanny bus.
Happy wife, happy
This is
life.
literally my life. She'll be like, "Can do this, do this, do this," and I do it, and then she comes in and let's get out of here, woman. And
No, my favorite is she asks you to do something, you do it, and then she comes in and she tells you that's not what I meant.
yep,
Right? And you're like, it's exactly what you say. Here's the drawing. Right? It's just
yes.
like,
Well, and it's funny because, like, we did lose a lot of space doing what I did. So I actually, you could see it. It's
yeah.
it's just so you could put your legs in here so you could do this. This wasn't meant to be storage. And the reason why it's even boxed in at all is because it's over a wheel well.
Mm.
She thinks, I think, that was supposed to be storage, but it never was supposed to be storage. There's no way it could have been. So, but if she wants storage, I'm thinking what's going to have to happen is this whole thing is going to turn into a dinette instead of what it is now. Which I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
look, I hear
Creative
people
solutions.
up there. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, man. It's like this is the life, right? I mean, we have to live moment by moment and roll with it. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no static in the nomad life. I mean, there's just because you built it. I mean, it's actually one of the things I love about Skoolies. I was talking to Amanda, my wife, about it, and others, and they're like, "Why is Skoolie? And why are they so interesting?" And it's because they're all unique. There's not a
Oh,
single one that is duplicate of another. And there you really see into a person's personality when it's built. Like, is it infinitely practical, or is it artistic, or is it bourgeois? I mean, you can actually like see into, oh, okay, I know what kind of person I'm dealing with. One of the attendees, I won't mention his name, but one of the attendees at Skooliepalooza Moab, I said, hey man, how you doing? And blah, blah, we're talking. And he's like, can I see your bus? And he said, okay, look, I'll let you see my bus. However, I'm living here. Right. Which means
right.
his bus was, he was a single older guy. His bus was probably a cabin. Right. There was not a whole lot of luxury of the luxury that you can even put into these things. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. So we've done fulfilling moments. What are you hoping to achieve, and where do you want this life to take you?
So as a touring artist, the idea is I think we like just adventuring, be on the road. Every day is a little bit different. I kind of feel like we're already doing what we want to achieve. Now, as musicians, of course, I want to travel the country and sell out huge venues and sell mainly theaters. Like I would love to travel and sell out like all your main theaters throughout the
Mm-hmm.
country. And theaters, not like I just love the looks and the history behind theaters, and I just think with our type of music, it would just do really well. But that's I think that's the goal music wise, and I think the bus life takes us on that journey because a lot of musicians travel by like flights and they have this van that everybody piles into and they do a tour and they come back or they have to leave their kids at home, all this stuff. But the great thing about using an RV or a converted school bus or something like that is your home is with you wherever you go. You save so much money. I mean, we don't stay in hotels. We don't have to. And so, um, yeah, I feel like we save a lot of money as touring artists that way. So that's why I feel like we're kind of already doing it. But the main goal is to get property one day, what everybody else says
Yeah,
in
the
this life.
homestead.
Homesteading, but I want to open up like a retreat area where people can come and camp and park and host events and things like that, to kind of help create income when we're not touring. um, and the reason why we're looking around Silver Dollar City. When does this podcast come out, by the way?
I can drop it anytime you want.
Well, okay, well, I'll let you decide then, because if it's after the 29th, then I can say something right now.
Okay. I'll wait
But
until after the 29th. Say it.
all right, great. So then, because we post on our social medias, we have a huge announcement on the 29th, and that is we did buy property. We actually close on the 29th, and it's here so it's in Omaha, Arkansas, just outside of Branson, Missouri, and that's where this theme park is. This theme park wants us here. They've been trying to get us here full time for about 3 years, and we've agreed to at least 8 months of festivals here. So we're gonna have a home base finally after 7 years. And the theme park's amazing because it's in theaters, it's theater seating to a listening environment, and it's so over the course of the whole day you play 4 half-an-hour sets. So throughout the day you're probably playing in front of maybe 1,000 or so people every single day, just your songs. You tell the stories behind them in a indie folk, it's a folk bluegrass themed theme park. So cool.
So what you're saying is we're not talking you two in the sphere, but you have achieved a residency.
Yeah, we have. And they're okay with the fact that if another big show comes up or a festival comes up that we want to go to, they're super okay with us being like, "Hey, can we get a cover? We need to go to this thing." And it's the easiest gig in the world. And so now that we have property here, we can live on the property in a place and still make income, because all we have to do is just drive half an hour to the theme park and we're playing gigs and we come home.
So do you think, this is something that Amanda and I talk about a lot. We have a homestead right now, but we are thinking about moving to a bigger one in a more suitable location for us.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to pick what you want, right? It's hard to have a homestead. Like, so you can have this property, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I have property. But you can't have the ducks, you can't have the sheep, you can't have the goats, you can't have the pigs, and travel, right? Your
Yes.
lifestyle changes. Really changes.
Okay, so the way we're able to do it is we have people that we're actually doing this with, and they're moving to the property with us when the closing date happens. Then everything that we build, they're going to live on the property and run and take care of everything. We're fronting the money to grow the property, to pay off the small loan that we got to get it, because it's in Arkansas, so it's 8 acres and it's not that expensive.
Right.
And it's all woods, so we have to do some clearing. We gotta add the RV pads and the hookups but we're gonna do mostly what we'll be doing is off grid and all that stuff. But yeah, we can do the animals and all that kind of stuff because we will have somebody on property on site at all times. And we have a lot of nomad friends that are looking for a place to park. And I think the Ozark Mountains are, it's an attractive spot to get people there, if someone isn't on the property. And so we can always have somebody, I think, there to keep things going. And so I'm pretty excited about that.
You know, the weird things that happen in your life. We have an employee in Arkansas. I don't even know what city because I know it's in a dry county. I know there's like 12 people outside of him and his family, and most of them have their teeth. Um, you know, it's, but he's got fiber internet. He's in the middle of nowhere and he's got fiber internet.
Right.
And then I spoke with a gentleman today because you know that there's an eclipse coming up in April. And apparently, near Hot Springs is one of the places where you'll receive a total blackout, 4 minutes of it. And he's got a little piece of property that he wants to run an event at. And he asked if we would be willing to help promote it, which, of course, we are. That's all part of the pay it forward. But you're all in Arkansas, just randomly. And this has been my day. And I'm sitting in Arizona, right?
That's super weird. Yeah. We're actually during that blackout. There's an event called Total Eclipse of the Sun or something, which would make sense because that's a song. So I'm assuming. But anyway, we're playing at that festival during that time. So I'm really excited to see that.
That's cool. So if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind talking about this homestead idea a little bit because I've talked to when we were in Moab. I talked to a couple of people who are looking to do something similar. They want to buy land. They want to buy a place that they can turn into a resource for nomads, but also have a little bit of that communal work share idea going on. And I won't get into some of the more interesting things of their idea, but is that what you're moving toward? I mean, it's only 8 acres, so it can't be huge, but are you thinking, look, you come, you work the spring, you get part of the harvest, or you can stay, or whatever, those types of things? Or is it just you've got close family or friends that are helping out?
Yeah, we have really close friends that have been friends with us for years that have had the same dreams as we have. So they're moving to the property. We're actually we did the property together. So we are owners of this property together with
Okay.
this other couple. And which a lot of people would be like, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership, so you probably shouldn't. But because of the thing that we have in place to protect both parties, and because the property really truly isn't that expensive, though it is super pretty, and I'm so grateful. Um, Buy the other person out if should anything arise. For us, that would be just like an emergency fund that we'll already have in place, ready to go. But I guess when you always start these ventures with people or anybody, everyone's all in high spirits, and you don't think about the bad outcomes of other things.
Right.
But I'm optimist. Anything's possible. We could do anything. My wife and that other couple are actually all realists, so they're all thinking of all these things and like, well, what about this and this? So we've been talking about what about this and this for actually about a year now. So this is not. It's been a long time coming. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's fantastic. I don't know that it's something that I would be willing to do. You are a braver man than I when it comes to that scenario. Um, but if more people could find that way to get along, I think the world would be better off. That's certainly true.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been doing this for 7 years. I haven't been doing it quite that long. I think I'm 5.5 or 6 or something like that. What would you tell, and especially, actually, let me reframe that. As a Christian, what would you tell an aspiring nomad?
So from a Christian perspective,
Yes.
well, I would just say that there's a lot. I think every calling of a Christian is to help and to give in a community in a world. I should say in a world right now where everything is about like self. Like, how can you build yourself up? Like, this is, you know what I mean? And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
against self improvement and self help and self care. In fact, look at that. I mean, come on. I mean, I got a sticker on my fridge here that says self care is essential. But so we're not against all those kind of things. But I think as a Christian, I just believe that for me personally, and this is just a viewpoint, we all have our viewpoints, right?
Sure.
So I think I'm just trying to protect myself by saying all this, I guess. I don't know. But I think it's way more important to care about other people than it is yourself. And it depends on the situation that you're walking through. A lot of people have been hurt by a lot of people, and some people are just like, I need to take care of myself because I'm in a whatever your situation is. Um, all that to say, this community is full of opportunity to give back and to help. And every day there's somebody broken down that are asking for help. Every day there's people that just need something, or they're hurting, or they're in this lifestyle because they are trying to get away from something else, or they're trying to find themselves or whatever. And the stories are incredible. And just to be somebody that listens, somebody that cares, someone that saves up ready to help somebody else financially because they know it's coming. There's just lots of ways to give back in this community. And I think just as a Christian, if you're looking to get into this lifestyle, get ready, because there's a lot of ways where you could be the hands and feet of Jesus in this community. And just to really change people's lives, and help. And so anyway, I think that's really, really great. And then my wife's advice always for anybody trying to get in this lifestyle is to be ready to be uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable, because things are not going to go the way you plan. And that's just part of the adventure, though. Like, those are the stories, like our $10,000 bus repair on our engine. The stories that we have through those 3 weeks of hopping from place to place, and the people that took care of us, and the friendships we built because we were in that situation. I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? And a lot of times when you're giving your money away to fix things, you can get really frustrated and be like, oh man, that's all the money that I saved, or those, you can get in your head about that kind of stuff. But I think it's really important to remember, like, that, well, this is what money is for. Money is for these moments when things don't go right. So instead of trying to store it all the time and put it away and grow, which is why I do think those are good things. Just remember, when you do have to spend it to take care of a bad situation, that's what money's for. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Not even interesting. I'm glad that you basically were talking about paying it forward. I do like, and you did say self-care is essential. I do believe in my core that it is impossible to properly help others if you're not healthy yourself.
right, kind of like the airplane, and that's what I was afraid. I didn't want that to get misinterpreted, because, like, I truly believe that, like, on an airplane, when they say to put your mask on yourself before you can help other people, because if you pass out, you're useless.
Yes.
Or helping your own child, you're supposed to put that thing on. And that's why I think it's so important to and so for me, when I think, okay, I want to be healthy, I want to be strong, I want to take care of myself, eat right, I want to put myself in good situations, I want to have healthy relationships and boundaries with certain people, because you need that. But it's, for me, I think, but it's all for the purpose of, I need to get healthy so I can be a help to other people. But if it means, if me getting better means tearing someone else down or hurting somebody else, then it's not worth it for me to get better in that way. I won't do it. But I also think about, or I should say, I wouldn't want to do it. But I mean, man, how many times do we want to do the right thing and sometimes we don't do it?
Well, we're all human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, on reflection, and I've got 15 years on you. I spent a long time chasing the, I don't know, the corporate dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that anymore. But I say that through a lens of earned, but privilege, in that I have an entire team. I have a whole machine for my day job that helps the day job continue to move forward. But it took a long time to get there and get to a point where, I felt safe in a way that, well, I mean, for example, to nomad,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a lot of risk that comes with this lifestyle. And for the first few years we were out, there was a lot of, scrimp, pinch, save. No, we're not going to go do that. No, we're not going to do that. And we kind of looked at ourselves like, wait a minute, why? And it was because we hadn't learned to grow past where we came from. And where we came from is there was no choice but to scrimp, pinch, and save. And now we are blessed that we don't have to do that as much.
Right.
So we're able to experience this lifestyle more and do things like spend a bunch of time building creatives community partnerships for people that, so you guys can be promoted and have a community and hopefully succeed through that. We've got a little bit of time here. You speak fast like I do. What is, give me your top 3 lessons learned.
Yeah. So I think one big one is, if you have a lot of things to do, it's really helpful to not look at the big picture when you have a million. So just say you have 20 things you have to do. If you look at a list of 20 things, you're going to want to die. So you're just like, okay, so one thing that I've been doing is writing a list. And then just one by one, always moving. There's no pressure. There's no time. Sometimes there are pressure. Sometimes things have to be done at a certain time. So I understand that. But for me, most of the time, it's not like that. I just want it done. So it's just like, just keep moving. Keep moving every day. You're just one foot in front of the other. Like the Finding Nemo quote, just keep swimming, So that's kind of how I view projects and things that I have to do. Just one step, just keep moving. It's good to keep moving and always being busy. So that's one thing. So I'm trying to think, there's a lot of things I've been learning lately, especially like, spiritual things or things like that. But I'm trying to relate it to nomad life. Lessons learned. Well, in this community, if you don't know how to do something, someone else does. So reaching out, for help. I mean, I guess that's just a tip. So that's just one thing. When you jump in this community and you start going to the events and you start making friends, then you don't have to do this on your own. I remember when I was building this bus, I didn't know any bus life people. Not this bus, but our main bus, which is outside there. But like, it was just me. There was nobody knew what they were doing. Even people that knew what they were doing didn't know how to do it in a bus. And so, but when you jump into the community and you reach out and all that kind of stuff, the knowledge out there is awesome. And another life lesson learned, I think really focusing on having an emergency fund is just super important. Because once you have that, you feel a little bit more free and you can decide where to go. Like you have more freedom of like, someone says, hey, are you coming to this event in Oregon? You probably can say yes if you have a good emergency fund and you work online or whatever. I think if I had more time to think about that question, I probably would have better things to say, but that's currently what's in my mind.
That's fair. I mean, all right, so let's actually go back to the beginning for a few moments. I mean, I assume you've been a musician pretty much all your life. You got into it when you were a kid. Were you ever a busker or anything like that?
So I started playing music when I was 16. I was really bad in school, and then I started taking piano lessons, and then from there I started getting like A's in school. I don't know what it was, but there's something about finding something you truly love that just made all the difference. So anyway, yeah, I love music. Changed my life in that regard. I busked one time with Emily in Clearwater Beach, Florida, and we played one song and thought this sucks, and then we left. But I know a lot of friends do it, and they make great money. I think now I could do it a lot better now than I could. I'm just afraid some cop's gonna come up or someone's gonna be like, "Hey, you can't do this," and then I'd feel awkward and then not do it. But no, I haven't busked before. Besides that one random time.
I think that busking, and I've never done it, so I'm taking in a observatory view of it. You don't. I mean, you do it possibly for a meal, right? You might get that much money out of it, or someone might even like walk by and like buy you a pizza kind of thing. Um, but it almost seems like if you're doing that, you're really more doing it to share your craft.
Yeah, I think for me, because we have the ability currently where we have gigs and we have house concerts where people are coming and they're paying to see you play. I think if I didn't have that, I definitely would give it a shot. Uh, we've never been in a situation though where we had to do that.
Do you think you said that you want to fill the theaters? Um, the current music industry is kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it seems like you're probably making your money from shows versus in the past, let's say the 90s, you were making a lot of money from, say, CD sales. Is
Right.
that is that accurate?
Yeah, so for us, we do decent like Spotify from Spotify streams alone. I would say every 3 months we'll get a payment from Spotify that pays all of our bills. So I'm like, that's pretty great. I'm grateful for that. You're totally right. Like playing live and touring and selling merch are your main ways. Merch like shirts and CDs
Right.
and things like that. Which by the way, I'm still surprised by how many CDs we still sell. Who's got a CD player? I don't know, but I think people just want to walk away with something. Um, but yeah, I think an idea. I'm really against record labels currently. I don't like the music industry. I think it's disgusting and nasty, and it's like really clicky. You have to know certain people, and I think it's really great for a lot of people or whatever. But for me, I find that if you can sell out. Oh, so for example, if I played 5 house concerts a week in Boise for 4 weeks. And at the very end of that month, I play a venue show with a few other bands opening up, local bands opening up. You can sell out a venue in Boise by telling everybody at all these house concerts, don't forget, we're doing this house
Right.
concert. We're so glad you're here. But at this event coming up tonight at our merch table, you could buy tickets to help support us. And you just saw us as a duo. But for this event, we're actually going to have a full band. We're going to have merch there that you can get that you can't get here. You kind of build it up. And that's another way where you can sell at venues across the country by doing just house concerts alone. That's kind of like a little thing that I have. But yeah, because we travel so much to different events that we really want to be a part of, and we it's hard for us to be in one place for long. I haven't put that theory to the test, but I really want to give it a whirl someday. But with this theme park that just offered us this residency, um, it's just it's just really really cool. So I have no reason to do that right now.
Well, a couple things there. If you ever look into the story behind Piano Man with Billy Joel,
No.
yeah, just put it in your back of your head to look it up. That Piano Man is actually about what happened that led him to that song, and that song is basically a true story about how uh, the music industry treated him, how he ended up being the Piano Man. So I have no doubt. I mean, unless you are the Stones or Taylor Swift or something, right? It's got to be very difficult. On the other hand, one of the things that the new media has provided is exactly what you just said. You now have an ability to build out million-person followings through word of mouth, through independent creative, display, concerts, those types of things. I think you're onto something. And if you ever find yourself, hey, I had this idea once upon a time, let's give it a shot. I think you're going to find it was very successful.
Yeah, I'm really excited to give it a whirl. 5 years ago, or 5 years ago, we only had about like 14 or 15 house concerts throughout North America in our database. And now that it's become such a thing, we're probably 100 house concert signups away from having 1,000 throughout North America. So I would say in every state we have at least 20 house concert contacts wherever we go, and definitely in every major city, which has just been. It was really hard at the beginning because I'm like begging people to like 5 years ago, please host us. I swear it'll be a good time. Where now we can't we can't reach out anymore on Facebook and Instagram, but every single show that we do, we have a little notebook that we leave out that says if you we tell people at our shows, if you liked this experience, go sign our notebook on our merch table. Next time we pass through this area, we'll give you a call or an email and see if you want to host us. Then we have documents and everything, invite templates for them to make it easier, lots of different stuff. But it's turned into a thing now. I've asked all of those people, would they host my friends, like other artists that I think would work out great for them. And so we were now starting like our own network of house concerts where some of my musician friends now, if they're ever in Boise, I have about 30 to 40 house concerts for them if they ever decide to go through there, or because we have about 400 throughout the country just for those guys, for my friends. So it's almost like we can make a living off of booking other people at this point in people's living rooms.
You're going to become a promoter.
Yeah, it's starting to turn out that way. We actually, it's called Book My Friends, is that what we decided to call this thing, and I've hired somebody to be a part of that to help me facilitate it and book our friends. We're about to launch that soon, actually. I haven't talked about that much at all to anybody, but that's another fun thing.
You can share. We've got a few minutes if you want to share about that.
Well, yeah. So it's gonna be. It's twofold. One, artists that I think would do really great at other house concerts if they're helping them book tours, or fill in dates if they're playing at this university or this venue or this whatever. They reach out to me and they say, hey Shane, do you have anybody along this route? And I said, yeah. I put them in touch with my house show contact to sign my book, but I've also said they would host my friends. Now they've got a booking for $400 that they didn't have before. So as an agency, we'd take like 10% of that or something, and then that helps keep whatever we've got going on our end. And so I also thought, how cool would it be to get a couple nomads in on this? Maybe they're not musicians, but they can get a room full of people to show them. So imagine you host Arbour Season Me to come play. Actually, let's reverse it. Imagine on my house, if I owned one, I hire you to come to do a house concert. You come but it's not a musical performance. You come and you talk to about 40 to 50 people that I gathered in the living room about bus life. You tell them about the ups, the downs, how you did it, how much it cost, and then at the end of your performance or your discussion, you give a tour to all those people. And then on your merch table, if you even have like stickers, merch, or whatever you sell, people can buy, support you. There's a tip bucket, a donation bucket. That's a way for my nomad friends now to start making money on the road, just to talk about nomadic life. So I wanted to start a circuit for my nomadic friends to do that as well, because we make an average of $400 to $1,200 every time we do one of these events. And if we do 5 of these a week, it's really great income. And that's what we live off of. That's what we do. And I want to do the same thing. I think our nomad friends that build amazing buses can go talk about their lifestyle and then give tours of their bus and make a great living while they're just on the road,
Well, I mean, that comes back to one of the first points we made was about paying it forward. You reach a point where you're comfortable. A lot of your goals are being met. So you redefine or you rethink, okay, so what's next? Well, you start helping people and you help people in your network. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So as we close up here, I do believe, because you mentioned you were coming to Skooliepalooza. Can we confirm that? Is that you are coming to Skooliepalooza?
We are. Yes, it is happening.
And as I understand it, not to put you on the spot, but you're also sharing a moment with a fellow creative, a fellow songstress, if that's a term. Is that correct?
Like doing a concert with somebody?
Yes.
Yeah, so the idea is on the Friday that Skooliepalooza, I can't remember which date exactly. I want to say the 19th or 18th.
It's the 19th, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have about 3 to 4 musicians. It's going to be a lineup of musicians. I think we're all trying to be nice because everyone wants to be maybe the headliner, but no one wants to come out and say, all right, so right now we're having a hard time figuring out the order and the lineup of how this is going to go. We need someone else to decide that for us, I think. But all that to say is, yeah, we're going to do that. And then Anchor is one of our sponsors. And for those that don't know, Anchor is actually, this is one of their products. We have quite a few of them, but it's an off-grid like battery station. You know, a lot of people
Right.
use
Power
different companies.
station kind of thing.
Yep. So we love Anchor, and they're going to be flying out and doing some filming for that event because we're going to run the whole entire thing off of, you know, solar powered things. Like there's going to be no electricity, just the whole
No
performance.
Jennies?
No generators. Yep. So it's going
Okay.
to run off of the quiet guy, this battery right here. Anyway, all that to say is it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited.
Are you comfortable mentioning who's going to be playing with you?
I have to go back on there and see like the list of people that are on there because there's a few that I'm afraid I'm gonna forget their names. So if I start naming some of them,
You won't.
I'm gonna
Okay,
forget.
that's fair. That's fair.
I'm gonna look really bad.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. However, if happy to help any way we can, as you know, and we do have the whole sound circus and all that we're doing. And with that, folks, this has been Arbour season, and it's season 3, episode 3, season 1 of the brand new Skooliepalooza podcast. Hey, give them a listen. I heard them last year in January at Skooliepalooza. They are fantastic. Totally my vibe that you've got. I love it. And I really enjoyed your time. I really appreciate it, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Come on anytime. We're going to be doing it for a long time.
Woohoo!
All right.